why do these CEOs why do they get paid so much?
Yeah.
Right? It's because the reason why they get paid so much is it can't be something that's going to hold them back.
Yeah.
They need to be fully focused on their job at hand to have that success. So you need to have that financial freedom. So when you come home, you don't have to worry about your finances or your money or your kid. It just needs to be there.
You're listening to Hustle Culture, a podcast that shows you how to take your hustle to the next level. I'm Jordan Glickman, a 24-year-old homeless entrepreneur who's constantly looking for a better way. Whether it be maximizing work-life balance while trying to reach my first 7 figures, or taking advantage of credit card points and biohacking my way to optimal health and efficiency, I'm all about it. Regardless if you're an entrepreneur or not, I invite you to join me in my journey of constant self-development. Join me and my guest as we deliver real value and actionable steps to embrace and make the most out of your hustle. Welcome back to another episode of Hustle Culture, and today I'm excited to talk about and share with you an interaction that I had with a good friend of mine now, where we established our relationship originally underneath in-premise marketing, where he was looking for some specific digital marketing services, and so that's how we met. So Ryan Cheel is the managing director of the top Anytime Fitness group in Southeast Asia, and I wouldn't be surprised if also in the world too. They manage a lot of gyms, which I believe we mentioned in the podcast. Now, Ryan has a very well-rounded experience in the leisure industry, so specifically gyms and fitness. He's developed and coached teams of over 1,000 different staff. So his capabilities of leading and managing teams is, it's something that as soon as you walk into his office today and you see the teams that he is driving today, it's evident and very obvious that he knows what he's doing, he knows how to drive a culture, and so much more. On top of that, he's done incredible things with raising funds and driving revenue. And again, it's nothing short of performance and his ability to just drive forward revenue or profits or that bottom or top line, no matter what it is. His efforts and his outcomes and results speak nothing short of what he's capable of. So this has been one of my favorite episodes yet, purely because we had a really, really good interaction and it was in person, so there was no awkward computer silences or anything back and forth. It was right there, it was raw, it was live. I thought it was incredible. So without any further delay, here's my interaction with Ryan. All right, Ryan, thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on the show and share a little bit about your experiences. So I've given a little brief intro about yourself, but if you'll give a little bit more about who you are, what you've done, what you've accomplished, take it away.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jordan. Where do I start? I'm going to start all the way back from when I was in the UK. So I'm from England, living in London. And I think my whole life I just wanted to be a professional sportsman. And that competitive edge really drove me. And I was playing football before and then sort of moved to rugby. There's a funny story, even from that time, I could even see myself as, in the UK, everyone plays football.
Yeah.
And then rugby was an up and growing sport, so there wasn't many people playing it. So the chance of success and fame and glory was so much easier with rugby because it just wasn't a sport that was really that famous yet, not really put on the map. And I think only since it started to get televised and the World Cups and England winning the World Cup, it started to grow a lot. So I moved to play rugby, moved up the ranks, and I think 15, 16 played for my country, under 16s and under 18, and then started playing for a professional rugby team, Harlequins. And from there it was great. Enjoyed it, loved it. It's everything that you could dream of. And then I got injured. And sort of moved away from the rugby, couldn't really play again. My brain said that I couldn't play again, but that's probably something we can talk about later. And then I wanted to stay in the sort of health and wellness, fitness. I want to be around people that had that sort of same energy. So I went into the gym industry. I was working in the gym industry for about sort of 6 years.
And when did you start? How old?
I must have been sort of 18, 19, and those dates don't match up.
It's okay.
So 18, 19 then started And then from there, I was like just a sales guy. I wanted to be a personal trainer. I wanted to teach people how to work out and just stay like in the gym working out, because most of rugby, that's all we did. Work. It was like working out and then just game day on a Saturday. Moved to the health and fitness, and basically couldn't be a PT. There's no space. So I became like a salesperson selling memberships. And that was tough because it's people come to you, as you know, it's like retail, but you actually had to go and farm your leads. You had to go out there, local supermarkets where people knew your face and gathering leads. So did that. I moved my way up to sort of club manager, looking after a club management. And then quite early on, I saw that in the UK, again, it was difficult to get success and grow. Just because of my age, I was quite young in the growth of my career, and all the other area managers or directors were all like sort of late 40s, 50s, and it was more of a age thing before you get into these senior roles. So I took the decision to then move country. So went to Dubai first, lived there for 4 years. Worked for a big chain there for a year, hated it.
It's just too corporate for you.
Very structured. So you imagine you go in there. My mind was thinking, and they are a great company. It helps you learn an awful lot about the business, but for me, it was just like being a robot. This is your schedule. This is what you need to do. I think we actually had to give them a schedule each week to tell them what we're going to do for the week. And there was no real level of entrepreneurship or innovation. You literally had to sort of, this is the line, you have to go through it. So, but anyway, I cracked on with it. I think part of my journey is from learning and done the best I could within that environment. And lo and behold, we had a member, a wealthy member, and he used to love that gym because it wasn't busy. I came in, made it really busy. And he always used to complain. He said, "I can never get a spin bike. It's too busy now. I'm going to build my own gym." And he planned to. So I was actually. He just said to me, he goes, "I want you to come and help me." I said, "Well, I'll work with you on the weekends and let's discuss it, and I can help you out." But in my mind, I wasn't going to go and work for this guy because he's been complaining for me for about 6 months, giving me a hard time. And then, lo and behold, it was just one day we were working together on this project and plan. He said, "I want you to run this." And I had to be honest, I had no idea how to build a business from scratch. This was literally. We didn't have a brand name. We're looking for locations. I knew how gyms ran. And that's the one thing I did have. But other than that, I didn't have anything else. So I think that was my first really, my big learning curve. When I was in Dubai, and we built this gym, and it looks very corporate. So I would have changed a lot of things about what we did, but we just made a replica of like these big box chains, changed the color.
Copied what you know.
Copied what we know. So we did that. Really enjoyed it, but then I sort of saw that for this guy, he had other businesses. This was like a passion project. For me, I wanted to grow it. It was like, where's the next place? Where's the next place? And he was, he wasn't really interested in that. And gyms aren't cheap to put together. And it wasn't like the world that we live in now, where we can finance gym equipment and it makes life a lot easier to grow quickly. He didn't want to grow, and so my mentor at the time, he contacted me to have an opportunity to be an area manager in Malaysia for a growing company. And again, if I want to grow, can I grow here? No. How can I grow? So. I took the opportunity, and that opportunity probably wasn't as lucrative. And probably, the guy that I was working with, the rich guy that he loved it and his passion, he wasn't really not happy about it. And I tried to have like lots of conversations, but you could sort of tell from there what our relationship was like. It wasn't it wasn't a partnership. So it sort of solidified my move. So moved to Malaysia. 4 years I was an area manager. Failed. They gave me 6 clubs.
Wow.
And then, and it's the first time I've really looked after multiple businesses or clubs at once. Failed.
And what does failure look like in that sense? They all completely, numbers started dropping, or what did failure look like at that time?
Failure looked, I think it was a bit of, so numbers weren't improving.
Yeah.
So, and there was a real cultural shift. So if you look at Dubai, you can go there, it's like a Western world.
Yeah.
If you go to Malaysia, it's not. You're starting to come into Asia, and I sort of went in there with lots of knowledge, driving the numbers, as I always have done. But there just wasn't any traction. There wasn't any engagement from the team. So yeah, that was painful. So I dropped down to having 3 clubs.
Yeah.
And then my mentor at the time, he allowed me to fail, which was good. But then he also allowed me to, understand how.
Yeah.
And when he started to let me know why and what he felt that I did wrong, I started making these adjustments quite quickly, and those adjustments were just basically more training and developing people instead of having that knowledge that they should know that.
Yeah.
So quickly grew, area manager, vice president, took my mentor's job.
Yeah.
And then moved up to senior vice president for that company.
Very cool. But when you took the job to move from Dubai to Malaysia, was there at the time a lot of risk that you thought there was, or was it just as simple as kind of taking a new job and a new opportunity for yourself? Did you feel like there was a lot of risk moving to a new country?
Do you know what? I will tell you one thing that I've always done.
Yeah.
I've always moved to a country that I've never been to before.
Yeah.
So all the countries that I've lived in, I've never been there on holiday, never tried it out, just went there and took the risk. Because I feel like if you've got to weigh up, there's certain risks that you can take in life.
Yeah.
And the risks, how I took those risks is I looked at, am I going to grow where I am? Am I going to develop where I am? Am I going to earn more money? Am I going to be a better person? Am I going to have a family? Am I going to be better in my career? And, I always had these things in the back of my head, and I always put these goals where, based on my age. Mm-hmm. So I said 25, I want to get this, 30, I want to get this, 35, I want to achieve this, 40, so every sort of 5 years I had these goals.
Yeah.
And when I was in Dubai, I was on that journey of achieving my goals tenfold.
Yeah.
And then it's just this one person, which, I sort of see as one of my mistakes as well. As soon as I sort of took this opportunity, I was looking at something that was really just right in front of me. I've got the chance to build something of my own.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's going to have that experience if they've been in a corporate world for so long.
Yeah.
And they get given the keys to go and build something. You take it. You don't sort of say you don't ask them, okay, so after this gym, what's going to happen after that? What's the plan of growth? And so I sort of see that on myself. And you got to the stage where I built this gym. We had lots of members, and we started looking at different opportunities. I started looking at different sites, and he was just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
You can tell that the interest that he had before to now had just gone, and he went off to start building schools and things like that. So it's just diverted, and the entrepreneurship of himself. Yeah, I can understand it. He wants to have a variation within his portfolio.
It just completely misaligned with goals, but it still was a stepping stone for you nonetheless.
Yeah, because I got to learn so much. Yeah. Because you're building a business. Yeah. You get given a budget. I mean, there's not much in the corporate world that go, hey, here's your budget, go and build a business. Yeah. And I was dealing with contractors, people building gyms, and where the changing rooms should be placed, and all the things from top to bottom of how would you build a gym. Yeah, I would never take anything away from what I learned, because I think everything that I learned there was valuable. Even dealing with multimillionaires, how to deal with these types of people, because they sort of have this direction. Well, the why they're successful is because they have this direction which is not going to stop. They're not going to stop for anyone.
Yeah. And I think to relate to that, something we've talked about slightly is, I'm looking to buy a business now, and so in that respect, I could also fail, but I think you only fail when you stop, because in the same kind of way as yourself, it's what you're going to take and learn from that and continue to push forward with, right? I could lose a lot of money, but in return, I know exactly what not to do the next time or what mistakes, right? So similar to yourself, you may have invested a lot of time, but in return, you may not have grown as fast as you possibly thought you were going to, but you also did, take in a lot of information that I know today is definitely helping a lot, entrepreneurially, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've always taken quite seriously is, with the people around me and including myself, is how much experience can I have or expose my team and myself. I want to expose myself to as many experiences as possible. Because if I can do that, I can learn. Traditional learning is great. I do like it. I do like to read. I like to go and do courses, but I actually like, for me to learn and be better at what I do, is expose me and my team to as many sort of scenarios as possible. Just like we're in this different time now. Like, let's get deep into it. Let's not run away from it. Let's dive headfirst into it. And find out what we're made of and what mistakes we're going to make. And we've made like sort of 10, 15 decisions during this COVID period. We spent a lot of time on it, but we didn't end up doing it. Going back to what you said, I think for me personally, exposing people to lots of experiences, you learn so much from it. It's invaluable. Even if you lose money or you lose time, you learn from it and grow from it.
Exactly. So with Malaysia being where you left off of, and where you are now, because what you've accomplished and where you are now is, it's no small feat by any means. So what's the bridge between there, and what are you focused on now? What's the next 3 years for yourself look like that you're focused on?
Yeah, so what's the bridge between? It was one was knowing and understanding, learning the business. I feel that I have a great understanding of what the business is now. I think now is my real focus in the next 3 years is growth. I want to grow. If you don't grow, you die. You have to grow very quickly. So even now we've gone into new countries. So we've got gyms in Hong Kong now. We've got gyms in Singapore. We've got gyms in Thailand, because these countries have opened. So we've gone in and attacked it. So growth is really important. The other thing is, what I've seen on a bigger organization is how to build a really strong culture, and embedding that within your people. Because one thing that I've known since I've been where they've been at, I've been a membership consultant, and I've been on sort of everyone's different level. One thing, if you really believe in the product and the people that surround you, and you have that inbuilt culture, it's really easy to manage the business. If it's quite like a flaky type of business and people just leave, and you have key people leave all the time, it sets you back an awful lot.
One thing I'll say is as a compliment is, a certain thing when I walk into your business and your office with all of your employees and stuff, there's a clear difference between walking in there and other people's companies that I have been a part of or walked into as service provider or whatever you may have it. And there's a clear difference in the culture and how everyone interacts, how people treat me as someone coming in. So in terms of culture, I know that that's something that you're really good at instilling within people below you. So how do you do it, and how did you figure out how to do it so well? I think maybe it comes naturally based off of just who you are personality wise, but is there a certain way that you really picked up on that and figured out how to do that?
I think one thing that I learned from one of my previous mentors is giving people, like I said earlier, is giving people that opportunity, allowing people to fail. One thing that I've tried to do is allowing people to fail, giving them so if it's not going to be detrimental to the business, allow them to fail, then pick them up, and then people will start to understand it's okay to sort of take risks and fail. The other thing that I told someone close to both of us is it's okay to be the stupidest guy in the room. It's okay to be the silliest person in the room, and that means that your team see that you are a human. It makes a big difference because they automatically become more, they can come up to you. They automatically, they feel if they've got a problem, they can come and speak to you. And, just from me being orchestrating, silly dances or silly workouts, or, work hard, play hard, we work hard and then we go for drinks, or just observing the team around you as much as you can. As we all work, our group of friends, we work non-stop, right? We can work from 6 a.m. in the morning, 12 p.m. at night. and we know we're on a mission. You need to. How do you get everyone else on that ride to understand what your vision is? Because I really feel like a destination is important, and it may be not the full destination. You don't need to give them the full picture, but your timeline of events. I'm going to give you a destination.
Yeah.
This is where we're going to go together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come and join me.
Absolutely.
And then that build just having a destination builds a great culture within the team because everyone knows what they're gearing towards.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be so serious and black and white. Just say, oh, I want to be, sort of say, I want to be the biggest gym chain in Southeast Asia. Let's be a bit more specific on those goals and depending on what department that is. But yeah, for me, it was actually building that culture is just me being the silliest guy in the room.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And I think to also exemplify this, I think further for the audience, because there's only so much we can talk about in an hour or whatever it may be. So can you talk about that idea that you had for a podcast? Because I think that's like, it exemplifies that creative thinking that you have and how you instill that into your business and its culture and such. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was when you started speaking to me about this podcast, and I was like, this is a really good idea because you're obviously going to be helping so many people. And I was thinking, how can I, now our organization, from, was it 2.5 years ago, we had 8 gyms, and now we have 68 gyms.
Yeah.
With a growth pattern to build up to 200 gyms in the next sort of 4 to 5 years. How can I continue to make sure that I'm still speaking to our workforce, which are the most important people because they're the ones that are really driving the revenue. So I wanted to build this podcast where I would bring in every week, every Friday. I wanted to bring in someone. Doesn't matter what department. It could be for the gym. It could be sales, personal training. It could be the club manager, area manager, vice president of operations. It could be finance. Whatever person it is, I wanted to just spend a couple of hours with them on a podcast. On a Friday, and just speak to them, ask them, why, what do you do? Why are you so successful?
Yeah.
Or what do you even do for the company? Do you know how many people they sort of come into our office and go, what do these guys do? And those people that are asking are my staff, my team from the clubs.
Of course.
They don't know the importance of all the cogs that are moving in a business, and I think again that helps build the culture. So I wanted to speak to these people. Go, okay, what do you do for our business?
Yeah.
Why is it so important that you're in our business?
Yeah. And I found that to be so important because, especially in this culture that we're in, it's makes people feel like they're really a part of something. And again, that's part of building a culture, right? I know even when I was 16, I worked for a car wash and we got to be picked to be the employee of the month, which just means that you were the fastest and the best person at what you did. I was by far one of the top performers. I just was never picked because the boss didn't like me for his stories on another day. But it was still something we all looked forward to because I think you got $100 or you got something, out of it. And I think even for this, what you're talking about, it's recognition and it's also meeting other people because your business is so big and you've still got to figure out how to keep that culture there while still scaling to a 500 person employee kind of business, whatever it is. You've got to figure out that side of it. I think this idea, it's, there's probably one of many, but I think it's an incredible one. Just again, keeping people involved in your organization.
And do you remember those times that you're saying at the car wash and other people got that, and the competitive nature within you would be like, I want to be there, I want to do that, and that resentment, like you said, because you didn't like me. Yeah. It goes a long way.
Yes.
You probably thought, I'm working hard because I get the money, but as soon as I got enough money, I've got something else, I'm going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And when I've been in those companies as well, but when I was in a company that sort of like meritocracy is always sort of there, and just like you said, is like someone can put you up in the lights and sort of say, hey, thank you for being you. Like, you just feel so proud of yourself.
Yes.
And you look back at it now and go, that's such a small achievement of what I've already done. But at that time, it meant everything to me. And I had, I would cling to that company. And I probably did cling to them for too long.
No, absolutely. But that's part of it. As you're the one driving the business, you want to get them to cling to you, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely. So I want to completely just switch gears here and go on something completely new. And again, just kind of ask you a couple things about yourself. So what skills have you found to be most beneficial to you so far while you're building businesses and I guess specifically gyms, since that's what your main focus is building gyms and being able to figure out how to scale them efficiently and effectively and keeping it all profitable while managing a couple hundred employees. So how have you figured out or what skills have enabled you to do that and been the most beneficial to you? Is it, people management? Is it time management? Is it financial analysis? Like what skill sets specifically, maybe 2 or 3 of them, have really enabled you to be really good and probably the best fit for your job versus someone else doing it? Like what really puts you as you, makes you, that makes you just so good at what you do?
Yeah, I think there's a few things to that question. One is developing a product, like cookie cutter product, that we can put in place everywhere. How do we build that? It is a lot of analysis. It's going through the numbers, understanding what worked from the previous gyms, and then putting that all together, and then doing that, having that repetition, and also having your focus on what drives the business. I really feel that, and you sort of see gyms everywhere, they've got all these fantastic, great plans, but to be honest, we just need to make sure that we get members coming into the gym, we're upselling them, and then we are retaining them.
Yeah.
And how do you retain people? Everyone has like a million ideas. For me, it was just drive people visiting the gym, create that habit, and you're going to have sort of a winner there. So there's certain KPIs that I put in place for every single gym, and not millions like I've seen in other organizations, because it's very simple. You got your member acquisition, you got your personal training, and then you got your retention of members. And then when we came to growing the gyms, location, location is everything, and not to get people around you that know. We're in the Philippines. I've been here for 2.5 years, and within those 2.5 years, we've built so many gyms, and I don't know the area, but the good thing is I have people around me. So really make sure that you surround yourself with people that's going to benefit you, right? So obviously, our president, he's done a great job in helping me look around and find the right locations. But then also he also has in his mind, he has he goes back to, this we should go here, but then you start speaking to more and more people. So we have, in our business, we have lots of investors. We have actually probably over 100 plus investors into our business. So it would be crazy for me to try and make a decision of where we should put the next gym. But I can go to them and say, hey guys and girls, where do you think, if we were to put another Anytime Fitness, where do you think we should put it? And then, you get these big lists of people that come, and it's literally getting on your, my weekends is usually me going out to these locations, finding what looks good, what feels right. Again, when you go there, what feels right, you sort of see people going around. You see, right, what's the foot traffic like? What's private cars instead of sort of like public transport. And then just the space in the gym, how it sort of looks and feels as well. So you've got a few things there, a real rigid set of KPIs, and then your growth plan. And then within that growth plan, then you have your investor plan, capital plan. KPIs are operational, get your locations locked in, raise your fund.
So I think for you, it's really, and I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your ability to systematize things, because again, you're running 60 gyms now. So I think doing that, you've talked about this cookie cutter plan, and I think that it's a matter, from my perspective, as an outside perspective, you're just really good at systematizing and creating these very simplified processes for really, really big, complex, maybe they're not complex tasks, but it's very large operational tasks. And so there's a lot of stuff on the back end side, but you've simplified it. And then you've also got this own determination and grit of your own as well that allows you to power through that, because there's still a lot to be done and overlooked to manage that and make it work.
No, I agree. I think just having systemizing everything, and then just so everyone can run it, it's easy for everyone. I think that's a real key attribute.
So with managing, that much, and you've got this cookie cutter plan to make everything work all together in the business side of it, have you also figured out, in terms of your work-life balance, if you will, is that systematized, or is it come like when you have time for it? Do you consistently say Saturdays I make time for it for 4 hours? Like, how do you balance a work-life balance? Because you've got a beautiful family, and then on the other side, you've got a lot of work. So how do you balance that to keep, both sides happy for yourself and for the people around you?
Yeah, so this is probably where I failed the most in probably my career and my life, is my work-life balance has never been great. I've always struggled to sort of spend so much time with the family, because my success, my competitiveness, I always need to win. I've got this thing burning inside me that I need to win, and I'm hoping someday I do reach where I do come I feel that I've reached where I wanted to go. Content, that's the word. But I think with my personal life, I really struggled with that. And Johannes, Johannes and Miko, actually, they organised me to go to see Tony Robbins.
Okay.
So I think they could sort of see that I was like, every day, like I was working every day, and then on the weekends I was still working, finding new sites and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't really spend that much time unless I went on holiday. So usually when I went on holiday, that was my family time.
Okay.
Every 7 days a week, 14 to 16 hours a day that was work. So when I went to Tony Robbins, there's a thing they do is called the Wheel of Life.
Yep.
And you basically plot different parts of your life and sort of like a 1 to 10 mark, and that 1 to 10 mark will then build you a wheel.
Okay.
And then that wheel they would basically say to you is, if you were to put those 4 wheels on a car, would it run smooth?
Yeah.
And mine definitely did. Mine definitely wasn't.
Yeah.
And it was mostly to do with relationship, family and friends. That was like, it really made like a sort of a wobbly sort of life-work balance. Yeah. So what I did from there, and it was good to sort of really take me out of the business and put me in this situation where I nothing to do with work, but just focusing on myself. And it doesn't need to be Tony Robbins, but I would say to everyone that you have to take time and work on yourself, because if you don't become well-rounded in your life, it's going to affect your performance in your work life. So I started balancing out by making memories, as I call it. So when I spend time with my family, friends, I do it to make memories. So what that means is spending time with family doesn't mean sitting down watching TV. It means, right, I've only got maybe 2 or 3 hours today, but let's go and do something fun. Let's go, like for example, we go down to the beach, or we do something that we remember. So with my youngest daughter, Isabel, so she's 4 years old. I used to just make sure every Saturday morning we would get up and we'll go and do something. And she even says, she doesn't know how to say last week or last year. She remember yesterday? Because yesterday could mean yesterday, it could mean last week, could mean 2 years ago. When we did this. So you can already see that we're sort of creating memories, and the same with my wife as well. So spending that one-on-one time away from the family as well. From the kids, and spending that one-on-one time, and just creating those memories and having really good conversations, switching off. And then with my friends, it is probably once a year, but we just go, they're all over the world, so we meet in one place and we have a good time. But that was something that I mastered very, very late in my life. That's for sure.
And so I mean, you mentioned that Johannes, who is, I guess, the president of your current company. And so if he and this other investor had pushed you to go to Tony Robbins, and they kind of helped you to kind of get into that has helped you with this, how do you on your own challenge your own underlying beliefs and even assumptions, whether it's about work-life balance or other things, like whether something's too much risk? How do you challenge yourself in your own personal beliefs without maybe external help, such as Tony Robbins or other podcasts, or however you consume information? How do you challenge yourself on that?
I think it's one thing that you'll find is, do you get angry a lot? Do you get stressed a lot when you're not working? Like, you get home and you get irritable very, very quickly with other people. I think you are not being successful. Like, because most of the people that are going to be probably listening to this are entrepreneurs that want to be successful. Like, the hardest thing is going to say, you're not being successful. You're not good at that. Like, you have to sort of look at yourself. Are you getting stressed? Are you getting irritable when you're at home? Do your family like you? Do your kids run up to you and hug you, or do they run to their mum all the time, or run to their dad, vice versa? So if that's happening to you, not being successful, and if you're listening to this, the main reason is because you want to have success. And being successful is all around you. So you can't say, right, I'm successful at work, and then I'm not successful here, because your life's not going to be great. 100% it's not going to be good. But if you then start to become successful and teaching yourself like you teach yourself at work, and you work as hard as you do on your work in here, in this area of weakness where it's your family, as in for me, then you're going to improve so much when it comes to work, because your actual things that you learn from your family, and the being compassionate, having sympathy, empathy, it does transfer over as a really strong skill into your work. So the one thing is, I would say you need to take a step back and you need to grade not just how you do at work, you need to grade your whole life. And then once you sort of see that, you can sort of see things that you need to work on, and then your competitive self will take over.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And that kind of speaks, I guess, the whole family side of it speaks to emotions and whatnot. So a little bit different, but how do you keep your feelings separate from decision making? Just given, whether it's decision making for the relationship or it's decision making for business, how do you keep your feelings separated from that? Do you think about things very black and white, just very logically? Do you typically have kind of clouded emotions when you are maybe looking at another gym or whatever it may be? How do you separate that? Maybe there's a different answer for both work and for personal. How do you kind of keep those separated?
I think for personal, let the wife make decisions.
Yeah, good choice.
Because it's I sort of see like she's the director of the household, because she just makes things go round and helps me out an awful lot. And if I didn't have that, it's like at work, right? It's like you put the strong people in the strong positions, right? Yeah. So she's definitely the strongest in here, and she organizes everything, and it's awesome and builds our whole family life. But when it comes to work and on decisions, I have a varied approach. I'm going to be honest. Probably the answer that I should say is it's all numbers. It's all
Yeah.
But I speak to people around me. I sort of say, right, these are numbers. Numbers, yeah, they're hit and miss.
Yeah.
My gut, when I go into a place, I'm like, if my gut feels good, I think, oh no, I actually really like this.
Yeah.
And then I've got the people around me, and like I sort of say, what do you think about it? And in more depth, because making sure I've got people around me that are okay to sort of say, no, this is a shit idea. Because you don't want people around you that make the decision to say yes to just make you happy. But the people that would just sort of say, no, I don't think it's a good idea, or you need to think about more about this. So for me, yes, I look at the numbers on the decisions I make. I'm very articulate when it comes to sort of budgeting and numbers, and does it make commercial sense? But then I like to physically put myself in a position and trust my gut. I really do go with, do I feel good about this? Because then if you're engaged in it and you've made that decision, you're going to make sure it's going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that's why I enjoy that the most as well, because it is a challenge as well. But there are cases where we had a recent, like for a location, for example, that I passed up on. I just didn't feel it.
Yeah.
Didn't feel it, and then someone else took the spot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know yet how successful it is, but for me, I just didn't feel the space. But we lost that spot. It's a location that it could compete with our other gyms that we've got in the area. And one thing I did do, my strategy was to cluster our gyms.
Yes.
So then we feed off each other and we grow that way. But yeah, someone's come in next door, which is, again, it's okay. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Yeah. It's just a bit more competition. But one thing that I would learn from it is the numbers look good.
Yeah.
It was a gut call that I said no to.
Absolutely. All right, so I want to backtrack just a little bit here, and I want to go back into kind of what your initial mission was in business, and you've had a few different business ventures, both in actually just different countries, Philippines, Malaysia, Dubai, etc. So maybe you've had different missions in doing so. But I guess has there been a primary mission or purpose that's driving you as you talked a little bit about achieving this point of content, and you didn't mention it, but I think it also kind of illustrated financial freedom. So is there something that's driving your purpose and your mission when you're driving your business or businesses in order to reach that point of content? What's that underlying feel for you?
Yeah, going back to the start of the podcast, I was telling you about my rugby career. I was playing for a professional team and I got injured. And I felt somewhere in there that I maybe had a fear of success. Yeah. In a way, because I was good. I was a good rugby player. Yeah. And I could have made it all the way, like my friends that were in the same team, which I felt that from a skill base, I was probably better. Fitness base, I was better. Yeah. But when could I hold my nerve, or the nervousness around me? I wasn't able to overcome that. Yeah. And it was sort of like I was on the big stage, and I should have been out. I couldn't perform. I always felt like And I got injured, I was getting injured because I felt I was half in. I wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to really explain that the best, but it was, if you like to kick it, if you're going to kick a ball, any shape or size, whatever it is, but you're not sure, and you just like do, you sort of tap it. Your mind's not fully in that it's going to be a successful shot. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So this has really driven me. I guess there's other things on the way, but overall, overarching goal is I want to get to the feeling of where I am in the elite and I'm performing at the top of my game. We are the best of the best within not just the country, but the region. Obviously, now we're the biggest franchisee of Anytime Fitness. There's no one bigger than us.
Yeah.
So now it's like, how do I become bigger, the biggest, chain or the biggest sort of group of gyms in the world, and then get to that level, be successful, and really smash it, and not just get there, but then take off.
Yeah.
Take the lead, take the organization by lead. So that is something that competitive edge, that's something that I need to achieve. Because I had it at an early age. I could have done that. I could have got to the top of my game of where my mind was, but I think psychologically, I couldn't do it. Now I feel in so much more of a better space that I can feel if I get there, I'm not going to crumble.
Yeah.
I'm going to have great success.
Yeah.
But on this journey that we're talking about now, there's different parts of your life where you have different needs.
Yeah.
And there was definitely moving from country to country is that growth that I've been looking forward to achieve the ultimate goal. But on the that financial freedom is a huge responsibility in how you work your everyday life. I now realize, why do these CEOs why do they get paid so much?
Yeah.
Right. It's because the reason why they get paid so much is it can't be something that's going to hold them back.
Yeah.
They need to be fully focused on their job at hand to have that success. So you need to have that financial freedom. Mm-hmm. So when you come home, you don't have to worry about your finances or your money or your kid. It just needs to be there because you need to be on top of your game.
Yeah.
To lead the whole organization. Yeah. So I sort of understand it. So that financial freedom in a growing sort of startup company, like I said, 2.5 years ago, 8 gyms, now 68 gyms. It still feels like for me like a little bit of a startup. Yeah. We're still growing. We're still moving. We have to be lean. Yeah. And I don't expect the company to pay me a massive salary. Yeah. Because we've not reached that peak where we want to be yet. Yeah. So the opportunity to be able to take that money and invest was huge for me. And I did go through a really materialistic stage.
Yeah.
And I was spending, I'd spend my salary as soon as I got it. I'd spend my bonus as soon as I got it.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's probably just because I could.
Yeah.
And then that really quickly, for me, I think that was like maybe a year, and that really quickly wears off because the first time that you're like, oh, I don't have any money. or there's an opportunity that comes to you like, oh, would you like to invest in this? You're like, yeah. But I don't have any money.
Yeah.
And then you start to I start to lead a very simplistic life.
Yeah.
I don't have to buy all the brands, but sometimes it's nice to treat myself.
Of course.
But then having that opportunity to invest has then really helped my cash flow.
Yeah.
So what I mean by cash flow is like, in and out, right? So I've invested in, I've got around 10 gyms.
Yeah.
And I've got like 5 different other companies that I'm invested in as well. So that on its own, I could live off. Yeah. I could literally, go to Bali and, live off that, and that's absolutely fantastic. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be comfortable.
Yeah.
I can live off it.
Yeah. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be fine. You wouldn't have all the nice things in life. But having that financial freedom, I think is really important to remove any stresses away from you. So then you can just be good at what you are and what you do. Yeah. Instead of sort of worrying about, I need to save for this, I need to do this, even like going for your bonuses because you're focusing on the wrong things. Even for me, like we obviously, as a business, we bonus on EBITDA. Yeah. And there's certain decisions that you need to make that's good for the company where you may miss target because of the EBITDA. Like, you might have to refurbish a whole gym because if you don't, that gym will fall out. Yeah. And what does that do to your EBITDA? Yeah. Are you going to miss target? Yeah, but is it going to make sure that you hit next year? Yeah. So just having that sort of financial freedom just puts you in a much better headspace, I believe, to make much better decisions and be more successful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What is it that you want to do? Say you've got the amount of money that you have in the bank. What is it that you want to be doing? I mean, I assume you're a person who, as much as I know about you, you still want to work for sure. I don't think you're ever going to stop. You're similar to myself. So in that sense, how do you see yourself positioning yourself when you're, maybe 40 and you've got the amount of money that you want and you don't have to work? You literally do not have to work the rest of your life. Your kids are probably set for a good amount of their lives. What is it that you see yourself doing? What do you want to do?
So one of the things that I've been lucky to do is I've been investing in where I work.
Yeah.
So I get to drive my income, and it's something that I'm passionate about, something that I enjoy, something that I'm good at.
Yeah.
When I'm 40, I think even when I'm 40, that's probably a good age of where I want to, semi-retire. I think it's gonna be difficult to really not stop working. I think it's just built in me, but working on things that I'm really passionate about and I enjoy. So that investment, I would love to get people like me and you, like from, let's say, 10 years ago, and sort of look at these guys and sort of say, oh, these guys have got a really good idea, but they just need a little bit more direction. They need a bit of cash. Yeah. Like, imagine, if someone mentored me and gave me sort of $1 million, where could I be now? Yeah. Like, I just knew I'm just the type of person, and you're the type of person that if you got something inside you and you just need that chance, I want to be that guy to give that chance. But it's just got to be something that I'm excited about. Of course, yeah. I got to be excited about. I want to use it and I want to do it. So it could be whatever product it is. I want to be using it. I want to be in it. I don't want to be sort of like I don't really want to invest in something that probably I don't believe in or I'm not interested in. Of
course, yeah. No, I think that's so cool. And that's one of the things I'm experiencing heavily now is my growth has been, over the last 2 to 3 years, fueled by people that similar to yourself and other people we both know that have helped guide me and show me, certain reins of business and so on. I had a call with someone from a private equity group that's, kind of, I guess, in a way, helping me understand a little bit more about acquiring companies. And they said, okay, the first question they asked is, what do you do and what are you looking for? And I talked for about 3 minutes to give them the whole gist of where I'm situated in life, where I'm trying to get to in the next probably, 6 months or so. And they were like, so you know a bit about business? And I was like, well, I don't know what that means, because I know some things, but I've got plenty learned. But I think in, retrospect, it's for me, I think, it's who I'm putting myself around. And so that's allowing to me massively helpful. And as I learn more and I see how I can use money to my advantage to catapult myself, whether it's mine or leveraging other people's capital, I start to really see, that's how you get to $1 million a year in recurring income and net income, not revenue. And this is how, to 10 million, it's not just, I've got to work hard and I've got to sell this, service for the next 5 to 10 years to get $1 million. I know I can do $1 million doing that, but how can we get to $1 million or 10 million more efficiently, more effectively by leveraging other people's money, other people's time, other people's knowledge? And I think that your almost, I guess, if you will, passion or want to do that for people that were in our position, for you when you're that age and they're our age or whatever, it's really cool, because I think we both know people mutually that want to do that as well too, and it's just it's a huge help.
I mean, it is a game changer, right? It's like when I was at a certain age, and maybe you're at a certain age as well. It's like you're looking up at people and go, how? Yeah. Like you in your mind, like I want to get, I want to, like in my mind was like, I want to get a Lamborghini. I want to have a big house with a swimming pool and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. And it's like you get and you move up and go, oh, actually, I don't need that. Actually, can someone just give me the keys? Yeah. Where I can actually go and speak to people. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. I'm good at what I'm doing. Yeah. I've got the energy. I've got the charisma. I've got the character. Yeah. Give me the keys that I can speak to someone that's got money. Yeah. Because you probably realize now that money's not that difficult to get.
It's not. It's a time and experience thing and knowledge, and it's a time thing. And within time, you just meeting the right people and you're learning and you're trying things, executing, failing, and it all starts to come about. You just again, like you said, you look at someone and you're like, holy cow, how did they do that? How did they have that? And then you start to eventually just again over time you see how that's even fathomable. So for me, like I had a business partner that would always talk about $100 million business. We're going to sell it for $100 million. And to me, I just, I couldn't even fathom 10 million or 100, let alone 100 million. I could understand $1 million because it was just 10x of what I was going to make really in the next year. So it wasn't that far off of me being able to understand what does $1 million look like? How do you get to that? Getting to 100 million, doing that 100 times fold, how many people need to be involved? How much capital raise needs to be involved? What are you even doing? What problems you're going to go through? Like it's not even fathomable. And it only was after, again, being surrounded by the right people and just going through more and more experiences. And then,
When did the light bulb go off for you where you were like, it's easy to ask people for money when you have a plan?
I think, honestly, it was maybe about a year after being in the Philippines. I had a mutual friend of ours who was willing to do business with me. He's quite well off. And so he asked me if I'd be willing to partner with him. Now, granted, I at that time would have been a very minority partner. But I think it's because, again, he saw the drive in what I had and some of the knowledge that at the time was probably not that much, but it was some knowledge on stuff maybe he didn't have. And so I think after just seeing that he was willing to work with me on that business, because even then I didn't have enough capital, I didn't have that much knowledge. And then he, again, later was willing to do another business with me, but it was totally different terms. It was a 50-50 business, again, with the same person that's very well off, and he saw even more in me, right? And he was willing to put up even more capital behind my name. So I think once I saw that someone was willing to put capital behind me after they saw my skill set and the knowledge and the drive and the persistence I have, that's where I was like, wow, once I know what I'm doing, going and asking for someone $100,000 or $100 million or whatever it is, it's not that hard as long as you have a plan and you have some kind of track record that they can be like, I'm willing to bet my money on this person. And that's what they're doing. I mean, it's always said, they're going to bet on you, not your product, right? But I think in reality, like when you really see that they're really betting on you and you start to realize I am a hard worker, I really know my shit and this, that, the other, you're like, that's for me where the light bulb went off at least.
Yeah. And I'm just going to add on because there's a mentor of mine that sort of told me something once is that you may be confident in what you do and I'm confident in what I do, but there's a bit of a turn where you sort of say, you start to understand your value, right? And one of my mentors said to me is like, you are, don't underestimate how much you valued in a company. Like, because just imagine if you went, like what would happen?
Yeah.
Like these big organizations that I was working for, if I went like a big cog in the sort of engine, like if I was to go, what would happen? The drop in revenue.
Yeah.
Not because of the process and systems will fall apart. There's still a steal there, but it's just that drive that you have.
Yeah.
So for me, I was always confident in what I did, but then there was a turning point for me. Is like I now really understood my value, and not just my value to an organization, but my value across the board. And all these people that I've been meeting as well, and they see that value, and then they start seeing you as a peer, and then you'll sort of say, right, okay, I want a couple $1 million.
Yes.
This is my plan. This is what I want, and this is, and you give them the plan, and then they're like, I'm good, I'm in. When should we raise? And then it's a really good feeling to have.
I'll speak to that too. I think and what I've done so far, I don't regret any of it. I think it's got me to where I am, so I couldn't be more proud of it, I guess, so to say. But my first year in this business specifically, where I was actually doing B2B business, I wasn't just training people or something. I specifically, undersold services, undersold my time because I had capital that would pay for my rent and living. So I was okay underselling the cost of services and my time. And I think that from 0 to 10K, that's what you have to do. You have to sell your time and service or your skill set, your knowledge. That's all you can do from 0 to 10K because you don't have any money, you don't have any skill sets. You're just trying to sell them. And so for me, I think the first year, probably 2 years, I really undervalued my time. I would be happy to spend 2 hours on a phone with somebody. I'd be happy to spend 4 extra hours with a client that was only paying me $200 a month because it was the only way to get more capital. But then I think when I started to hit the part where I had my first $100,000, I still undervalued myself. But then when I had $200,000 in the bank, it was like, oh, I can just keep generating 100,000. It's not that hard. And I start to realize what I've built is actually something real. what I'm actually doing is like more than just some small business that, I'm just selling a service. Like I've actually created something great, and I have public companies, people handing me over 100 grand a month to do certain things. And so it's like people really trust me. And I think that's another light switch, is valuing your own time. And that for me has been a big one. And I think recently, I don't know where I consumed it, but I heard, whether it's a podcast or something, is if you're going to go into business with someone and you do have someone else bigger investing into you, value your time at what you're going to value that in the future, not what you're valuing it at today, because you don't want to get, you don't want to make an agreement today that you're not going to like 5 years later, right?
Yeah.
So that for me has been a big light bulb. And I think it's really kind of happened for me this year. So mid 24 and a half years old or something. Yeah.
I think there's two things in there. Is like, you do need to create your value as well, right? You can't just walk in and sort of say, because I've done X, Y, and Z, now I'm the most valuable person to you.
Yeah.
You got to walk the walk, right? And then you build that, and then you have that opportunity. And then the second part is, and like you said, is don't undervalue yourself. When people that are listening to this, is when you do get to that stage where you've reached it, don't do what I did. And like sort of when I sort of went to in Dubai, and I got my gym. It's awesome. Like I didn't think of the gym. I didn't think of the next 2, 3, 5 years. Speak to someone. Reach out to someone. Say, hey, I got this. Talk some sense into me. I'm really when you're most excited, and just think like when you get sold something.
Yeah.
And that feeling, that euphoria when you buy something that you've been sold, and then after you use it once and that's it. It's that time of that self-discipline is when you get something that's really, really good in your hands. Take a moment, speak to someone that you really trust, and get some feedback. Because I think you're right, but I think it's going to be really difficult for people to just not. I'll sign it straight away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's again, and that goes back to just putting yourself around the right people, getting their guidance and experiences of your own failures, or just taking on from their failures and their experiences to leverage again for your own goods and your own sake and stuff to get farther.
I truly believe that, like surrounding yourself with the right people, and it could be all walks of life. I mean, something that I've did since I'm in the Philippines is really attach myself to someone in the Philippines that knows the Philippine culture, so I can really learn off that person.
Yeah.
And then you have the financial performance and leadership as well.
Absolutely. So I'll ask you a question. We'll go into the fire round, and then like maybe 2 quick summary questions, and then we'll wrap this thing up. All right. So what's one actionable piece of advice? I think that we've talked about a lot of really valuable takeaways and a lot of things that like I know have just, again, like light bulb moments. And I think that those are just like, they're the most awesome things when you come across them. So what's one really actionable piece of advice, maybe from the light bulb moments or from anything else, that the audience could literally take today and implement that would make a difference in their life? And not just, work harder or something basic like that, but what is something that they might not be doing, and audience being probably people my age or maybe a little bit younger. And, again, just something that they can take as like, wow, I haven't even considered that. So as an example, one of the previous podcasts, someone said they like to control the controllables. And so what they do is they'll make it so that their social media is not allowed to come on until 2 hours after they wake up. So the first 2 hours of them waking up, they try not to use their phone, but on top of that, there's no social media whatsoever allowed. I believe that's what they said. So again, just something that you can implement that is, again, it doesn't have to be business related, but just even personal growth and development. What could someone do from your eyes?
So for me, it's looking after everything around you in your life. Like I think we spoke about that earlier today, but work is really important, but you've got to have all the other factors. You've got to have a relationship, your friends, family, working out, your health, financials, and things like that, all planned out. So I believe that if you have a well-rounded life, you're going to be super successful in your career, and you're going to start making the right decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, like, as like a piece of action, and let me know if you disagree, is, one thing that I did, and I think you had actually relatively done it too when you first came here. We did it to the same place, is became a part of a co-working, networking place. I mean, that for me at least, like I know I made probably 25% of my revenue off of being a part of that co-working space, I think last year or something. And that's huge. I mean, that's just, a $60 a month investment to make 25% of what I made for the whole year. I mean, that's pretty good. So would you agree that that's a great way to just kind of get networked with people and just get in there rather than just how am I going to meet these top business owners or...
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, being surrounded, that was probably closest to the second one, is being surrounded with the right people, right? And, super important. And I think you could do it even in your job today. Like if you if you're in a job today in a corporate organization and you just wanted to be around, a high level exec or someone that's, someone that you feel that you can learn from, ask them, do it.
Yeah.
Just don't fall short. Or if is it a friend's mum or dad that does something that you want to do? Yeah. Spend time with people. The more you experience, the more success you have.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. So to take that off on that note, I'm going to push us into a quick fire round with about 3 questions or so, and just try to answer them quickly. You're not expecting any of these, but let's see what kind of answers you've got. All right, so the first question is, if everything restarted tomorrow, what would be your backup plan? And it cannot be starting or running a gym. What would you do?
I would run a driving range.
Okay.
What's that? American Top Golf?
Top Golf, yeah.
Top Golf, I would do that.
Okay. And specifically here in the Philippines, or?
I'll do it here in the Philippines. I would partner with a current driving range.
Okay. So franchise another
one. Do a building, do a sort of a projected plan.
Yeah.
Raise capital with people that I knew. I just love it. I think it's a lot of fun. And as you know, here a lot of people play golf.
Yeah.
And especially the right market, so I think you can charge a bit more.
It hasn't been done here, so I think you had mentioned a long time ago it's about $20 million to put it up. So that's, it's a big, again, for probably the audience listening, like $20 million just to put up a business seems crazy, but at the same time, based off some of the stuff we've talked about, it's figuring out how to leverage other people's capital, how you could potentially finance it strategically. I mean, there's so many different ways that even if you don't have $20 million liquid, you maybe only need 2.
Or I could imitate, right?
Yeah.
There's different ways. I mean, I could go stepping stone effect where I could just imitate and then show proof of concept. And it could be, I could use, all right, give me 5 lanes of the driving range. Let me show what we can do.
Yeah.
And then just go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about that kind of strategic thinking and ideas. So I love that. So the next question is, if you were 23 and you were handed $100,000, if you could not invest it into a gym or into the golf, what would you do with $100,000 at 23 years old?
Go on a good holiday first.
Good holiday, yeah.
Probably have a good time. But then I would literally speak to my friends. I'd speak to all the people around me, people that I trusted, people that I feel that had sort of the same work ethic as I do and sort of the same mentality, and build a plan together. I just don't feel that at that age I'll be ready to do something on my own.
Yeah. And I asked that question because, I made my first 100 liquid last year, and I didn't do anything immediately because I didn't have anything planned. But then as time went on, I realized it was just sitting there, and I'm just building up more and more, which has been my goal. But I know that in order to get to $1 million, I need to figure out how to leverage it in order to get to more money. So a big part of it is, figuring that out. And I think also for the audience, before they even get to 100,000, or if they already have it, it's thinking ahead. What am I going to do? And so, one of my big realizations that we've touched on a couple of times is to buy another business and to figure out how to bring it in-house to our marketing agency and scale it up even more. So again, leveraging what I have to kind of catapult it, or maybe lose it. We'll see. So that'll be another podcast.
Yeah, and I feel like, with that's a good nest to start with, right?
Yeah.
And you can speak to people and you could make a little bit of money, but I just feel that nothing's, you got to have a stepping stone effect. Nothing's always going to be $1 million idea. I think,
Absolutely.
Had 100,000, right? How do I do, right? I want to build a little bit. I want to get up to 300,000.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And you could probably just do that from hard work, right? To be
Yep.
honest. And then you've got 300,000, then you got to think a bit more strategical. Who am I with? Who are the people I'm with? What do I want to do? What's the longevity of that business?
Yeah.
And then you start getting there. I think a lot of people now are trying to imitate what other companies are doing to try and make that quick million. Which is really tough.
Yeah.
It
Absolutely.
rarely happens.
I think the whole 0 to $1 million very quickly is not as simple as what it's made out to be now. I think there's a whole internet kind of phase going on where they make 6 figures seem so simple and 7 figures seem so simple. And again, once you've done it, it's simple, right? You figured it out. But I think there's so much that I had to go through just to get the first 100,000 that it's like, oh my gosh, like, and now I think it's so simple. It's so easy to figure out how to make 10 grand a month. It's nothing. But then to figure out how to get to 100,000 a month, it's like, okay, well, how do I 10x it?
It changes because it's not just about you now, right?
Yeah.
Like you could, when you're making like $10,000, you know, that's just you on your own, right? And then you know, it's the same as my thought, right? I want to get $100,000 a month. How do I do that? And it becomes, right, I need to speak to people about this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And you start taking, maybe you do make some mistakes along the way, and you do take some risks. And those mistakes and risks will give you the experience and the knowledge to, you know, be, you know, where you are now, where I am now, where you've had a little bit of pain, but then you sort of coming out the other end now, and you can now start making better decisions. I'm not going to say it's the right decision, but you start making better decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll ask you the last question here is, you've kind of already answered it, so maybe we can get something kind of unique out of you, and if not, then I'll let it slide. But what monetary goal do you have as kind of a number, and do you have something unique that you want to do with it? So you talked more on the genuine side of what you really want to do and your purpose of creating money and wealth, you know, for financial stability and family and this and that. But is there anything unique that you really want to do, whether it's like, you know, I want to live on Mars, or you're essentially working towards some amount of money that most people don't fathom or even think about. So is there anything really, really interesting that like you want to do, whether it's, again, going to Mars, or maybe it's investing into cancer research, or is there something that's just totally different people might not expect?
I think for the obvious thing for me is to sort of succeed in some of my goals is like have a house on the beach, have a house on the slopes, right? But then other than that, I want to invest in things that really just help people health-wise, because I've been in the gym and I just think all we do is we really focus on people's health and driving people's health, and getting people more engaged to that. And I think I like this idea of like gamifying fitness and like, you know, like Tamagotchi in the day, like you feed them, you do this, they get to a certain level. It's like, how do we do that for humans? How do we make sure everyone is healthy? And I think there's, you know, gyms and bricks and mortar are fantastic. I think there's just so many different ways, because if you think of the world, like generally around 5% really work out.
Yeah.
You know, how do we pivot that to like sort of, you know, 50% of people? And I think there's a big game-changing market out there, and it's mostly to do with technology, mostly to do with bringing it to people's homes, keeping them motivated, keeping them engaged. So technology in the fitness and health and fitness space really excites me.
Very cool. I think it sounds like that idea will manifest in something big over the next few years. Is you're just more in it, and it comes across one day. So all right, so last 2 questions. So the first one is who can I get on that I might not know that you know has had some really good success, or has a really interesting story that would probably be interesting coming on the podcast? And can you talk like very, very briefly about maybe what they've accomplished?
Mine's a little bit different, probably less about work, because this person I really respect from a sort of family point of view and how he's spent his time in his life. He's sort of been in the Navy, been a diver. Unfortunately, his wife passed. So he's got his story and journey is really about how he handles emotions and how resilient he's been. And he's one of those guys he always works out. You know, always has a positive mindset. So his name's James Piper. Okay. We played rugby together, went to college together. Okay. And just a really great guy, and someone that I always, if I'm feeling down about family life and things like that, it's always someone that I go to for support. So I think he'd be a great guy to speak to. Yeah,
very cool. It sounds like a very interesting story. So we'll see if we can get him on here. And so the very last question is just how can people get a hold of you if they want to know more about the gyms, or investing in gyms, or investing in Asia and health and fitness? Because I guess we didn't talk about it too much, but you guys have, you know, investment opportunities relatively for gyms and for really anything health and fitness in Asia, the entire region right now. So if someone wanted to know more about that, is there good, you know, whether it's an email or a LinkedIn or a website that they can get a hold of to get a hold of you or what you're doing? Yeah,
I sort of separate my life, like my social media is like somewhat private, but LinkedIn.
Okay.
I always like to, and I actually respond to everyone.
Okay.
I know, probably now LinkedIn has changed the algorithm where you get loads of friend requests and loads of messages, but I actually do take my time to read anyone, because I realize even when I was like a membership consultant selling memberships, and I would reach out to people on LinkedIn, they just wouldn't respond.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the person that will respond, and even if someone says, "Oh, give me a job. This is my CV," I would respond to them and say, "Hey, this is how you should message people on LinkedIn. We haven't got anything at the moment, but try and use this tact going forward." LinkedIn's the best one. So Ryan Cheal, Cheal. They can reach me on LinkedIn. Yeah, like you said, we've got huge growth plans, 68 gyms. We're looking to get to 200 in the next 4 or 5 years. So loads of opportunities to invest. We've never asked for reinvestment, and all of our clubs have been very successsul. So, and there's other businesses as well, not just gyms. If anyone wanted advice on investing in something different, and we've got different things that we do as well, but LinkedIn's the best way to hit me up. Okay,
awesome. I'll put your link in the description of the podcast, and then we'll get all that there if they want to know more about it. And if you don't mind, I'll also put in the inspirebrands.asia.com.
Yes, please. Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool. So that's their website as well for the entire group, if you will.
Yeah, it's our portfolio. I currently run Inspire Brands Capital. So obviously with the capital, we raise the funds and build, but we're under the umbrella of Inspire Brands Asia.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'll get all that pulled together in the description, but otherwise, thank you so much for sharing your time with me and with the audience, your experiences and thoughts on things. I think it's honestly been one of probably the best podcasts yet, just given like how genuine a lot of the things were, and kind of light bulb moments and things like that. I think they're things that are so valuable to us and growing, and we often forget them. So I think you got them out of me, and vice versa. So
no, I really enjoyed it as well, because it's funny when you look back, when I do look back, it starts to remind myself, right, how can I do more for the team? Because you're running always 100 miles an hour, doing your own thing and building the organization, still trying to look after the team, but going back and talking about this is going to help me come up with some ideas to engage the team even further than they are now. So I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Well, great having you on, and then I'll see you around.
Cheers. Awesome. Thank you.
Hey there, hustlers. That's this week's episode of the Hustle Culture Podcast. Thank you again for listening, and don't forget to join us next week for another episode. If you're able to take away any bit of value from this episode and you want to support the channel, there are 3 things that you could do that would massively support me and the team that make all of this possible. The first one is to leave a review wherever you're listening to this podcast at. The second one would be to share it with a friend. And the third one would be to head over to jordanglickman.com, go to the resource tab, and I've compiled all of the best resources and tools that I use, from amassing as many credit card points as I have to structuring my day. I know it will be a great resource to most people listening. That's all for me today, and thank you again for tuning in to Hustle Culture.